Hello and welcome. I'm joined by Chip Wagner, CEO of Alsbridge. Chip, thank you very much for speaking with us. So we've been talking about the digital future and all the excitement that there is, the customers, the consumers and their demands and how things are changing all the way up or down the supply chain or the value chain, right? But you're looking at something which is far more, in a way, critical, right? The way and the manner in which things are getting automated, the arrival of robotics, and that's changing some things at least very fundamentally. Tell us more.
Well, one of the things that's a truism of life is history repeats itself. In the automotive industry years ago, we had people who welded cars for a living, and that's what they did 8 hours a day. One little stroke of the welding machine every few seconds, 1,000 times a day for an entire career. The blue-collar industry saw the advent of robots. Everyone thought the blue-collar industry would disappear, labor would vanish. It didn't happen. So what we're seeing now is the application of robots, as we like to call them, but they're not really robots. They're software agents. They just they become more evil if you think of them and you personify them as robots. It makes people more nervous. We're just seeing the automation of the lower end of white-collar work, of some of our computer programming maintenance, some of the lower-end services, and it will create new jobs. Technology does not destroy jobs. Technology creates jobs. It's just different jobs, but it's scary to many people.
So tell us about what's changing from on the consumer side, right? So consumers are obviously consuming differently, whether it's products, services, everything we all do in our daily lives. What are the forces that are working there which are causing or will cause companies to change and the very sort of structures to change to adapt to this?
Well, digitalization is being pulled by all kinds of things consumers are doing. The social media phenomenon, right? I mean, all of the analytics that are taking place to try to figure out consumer behaviors. Those are all reactions to consumers buying in a different way and companies and enterprises wanting to understand how that's happening. Cloud computing is a response to people wanting everything, anywhere, anytime, and that's why everything has become as a service, where it's all a reaction to how the consumers are behaving.
How do you think companies are prepared for these changes? I mean, you're here in India, you're meeting Indian IT services companies. How are they ready to meet the challenges at their point or their end of the value chain?
Well, I think that some of these changes that are being driven by new companies, for example, using robotics again, a lot of new software companies existing, starting new programs, offering new tools. In time, the large Indian service providers have an opportunity to completely leapfrog that possibility. A, they could continue to do things the way they are, in which case they're likely in trouble. B, they could buy and use the existing software technology, or C, they can invent new technology that jumps right over the existing robotic software that's out there. I think it's likely to be B and C. Very few will stay status quo, because that's a prescription for becoming out of business. A number of them, I expect, are the best software developing companies in the world. So what will they do? They're going to build their own version of robotics tools, and they'll apply them to themselves. So they're going to cannibalize their own revenue stream. So on the one hand, in some cases, they'll reduce their revenue. They may increase their margins, but they'll live to fight another day. And their customers, I believe, will give them more opportunity when they bring this innovation forward.
So do you also see the knowledge worker, the role of the knowledge worker diminishing in some ways? I mean, some McKinsey study seems to suggest that 25% of knowledge workers might lose their jobs, a segment which we thought was protected somehow.
Well, I think, again, technology does not kill jobs, it changes jobs. The knowledge worker's role may change, and I believe they'll actually go up the value stream in the same way that people that were in the manufacturing industry didn't disappear. They just took on different jobs. Used to have 100 people on an assembly line, now we have 4 with a series of robots that are doing automated work, but the 4 are much stronger knowledge workers than the 100 were before.
Right. So what's your sense for the year ahead? I mean, if we're still in February, we've got a year ahead. What's going to happen in 2015? What are the kind of trends that you're predicting for IT in general and corporations in specific?
Well, I think what we see for the CIO is, I think about IT manifested by the leader of IT in a company as the CIO. I actually feel almost sorry for them. The pace of change, it just continues to come at them at a furious rate. If it wasn't social, it was mobility, it was analytics, it was cloud. Now here comes robotics. They have no idea what should I automate. And if that's not enough, then it's a whole cybersecurity question. I had the chance to visit recently with the former CIO of the Central Intelligence Agency in the United States, someone who might have a few ideas about security. And he said there are only 2 kinds of companies in the world: those that have been hacked and know it, and those that have been hacked and don't know it. Everyone's been hacked. Right. And so the poor CIO, I don't know how they sleep at night.
You know, one of the companies, I mean, the CEO of a very large Indian IT services company was telling me that one problem that they're facing is that CIOs are putting off buying decisions because of this, precisely because of this pace of change. They don't know where it's going to land and when.
Well, I think what's happening for the CIO is it's increasingly becoming difficult to do his job by himself, do it internally, have the capability inside the enterprise to do all the things that are necessary. Because if they felt they could do it, as soon as they think they have it figured out for social, then here was mobility and then analytics and then cloud. And I just think it's a time to now look at an ecosystem of providers that you hire in and you become an elaborate systems integrator and you have a few high-end people on your staff that are the kinds of people that are going to direct the strategy of the business as opposed to those that are going to ever try to do it.
Right.
It's a different job than ever before. And chief information officers have it very difficult. It's a 3-year career span, average career span inside of an individual company. It's a very tough job.
Right. And also finally, the CIO's job also is being, to some extent, being cannibalized by the chief marketing officer and the CEO himself or herself, isn't it?
Well, I think what's happening is everybody thinks they're becoming a chief information officer because information and the ability to manage it and handle volumes of data that we've never even dreamt of before that the internet has made available has given us ability to have insight never even conceived of before. And it's funny, you think, again, I come back to the robotics for just a minute, or a cloud before that, the CFO or the CIO, or CEO rather, on an airplane reading a magazine article or reading the Wall Street Journal and is tearing out articles from newspapers and looking at and sending links from online blogs and saying, why can't we reduce our cost by 60%? That's what it says we can do here. And how come we don't have a robotic strategy? It says here we can reduce our cost 75%. And look here, this bank next door was just cyber attacked. What about us? Do we have a good cyber attack strategy? So everybody's in the business of the CIO.
Right. Chip, thank you so much for speaking with us.
My pleasure. Glad to be here.